What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/I don't work your lady. This story's called Work Faster or I'll Fire You. Before I start telling my story, which happened 4 years ago, I wanted to apologize for my English and for possible spelling mistakes. As I mentioned, this happened to me about 4 years ago in summer in Turkey when my uncle was having his wedding. I was almost 16 years old and it was my first time that I'd wear a suit to a wedding. Since it was my first time, I wanted to make sure I look great in it too, so that day, I took off my jacket because it was really hot outside, and I didn't want to have sweat marks all over my nice and new white shirt. So there I was, outside this wedding venue, greeting other guests and welcoming other relatives. Now this is when things get interesting. So there was this catering service who was there simultaneously preparing the food for the wedding. They were all dressed the same. White shirt, black pants, and nice black shoes, and a normal belt. Problem was, I looked the same. And I didn't have anything on me which could possibly tell that I'm different than them, and since I took off my jacket, they couldn't tell either. Standing at the entry welcoming guests, an employee, he was around 35, so there was a huge age difference, and he looked way bigger than me, approached me and asked me what the heck I was doing. Nothing? Do I know you? Don't just stand there and start moving fast and do something. Guests will be very angry if the food is not ready in time. I thought he was kinda joking about all the stuff, since we were dressed exactly the same and I was young too. But apparently, catering services hired anyone who had 2 arms and legs. And because I knew the sense of humor Turkish people have, I thought he was just trying to be funny. But then he approached me again and asked me if I wanted to get fired, and that he'd do anything to make sure I wouldn't get any money for what I did until then too. It was that moment I realized he wasn't trying to be funny anymore, but was dead serious about it. I was angry at him because he was being this disrespectful towards a guest, and so I responded in a very angry way, telling him to step off and leave me alone. I could have told him that I wasn't working for the catering service, but I didn't know he wouldn't get it. He then grabbed me by my arm and threatened to beat me up if I continued disrespecting him, knowing I'm apparently preventing them from getting the food ready just in time. Of course, everyone started running towards me. Can't even count all the people who tried to get him off of me. Just when he finished his sentence, my grandfather grabbed the employee and did the same thing to him and told him I wasn't working for him and that now he wouldn't be working for my grandfather either. The employee supervisor was really ashamed of his employee's behavior and tried to do me a favor by letting him fire me for him. I did fire him by telling him, "Seems like it's you who won't be earning much money today." Cool story, but I wanted blood. This story's called You're an Air Marshal. This story is very short, but I thought I'd share because it made me giggle a little. I just flew home after a quick business event. I was in an aisle seat. There were 2 ladies sitting in the seats in front of me. They were maybe mid-50s, most likely family because they were talking about Thanksgiving plans. The lady in front of me was so loud, they probably heard those Thanksgiving plans all the way up in the cockpit. Across the aisle from them was a man, probably in his 30s, who was quite muscular. Shortly after the seatbelt sign came off, the muscular man got up to use the restroom, and the lady directly in front of me practically screamed to her companion, "I think that man's an air marshal. He just sat there during takeoff and was really paying attention to everything." To which the other lady just said, "Maybe." The funny part was about 10 minutes later when the air marshal got a drink which happened to have alcohol in it. At which point, the lady said, "Well, I guess he's not an air marshal." Her voice was just dripping with how offended she was the poor man chose a profession other than the one she'd picked out for him. I just got a huge kick out of that. Completely reminded me of this sub, so I had to share. Well, that was quite the cute little story about an obnoxious plane lady. I just love me a cute little story about an obnoxious plane lady. This story's called I Know the Guy Behind the Counter. That doesn't mean I work here, lady. For a little background, I used to work in fast food, the Golden M, for a few years before taking on my current office job. During my 4 years at the Golden M, I worked with a guy who I'll call James, not real name. James worked in the kitchen while I was in the drive-thru. He and I got along great as coworkers and friends until he left for a better fast food place, the Way of the Submarine. at my local hospital about a year before I left the Golden M myself. My girlfriend and I went to the hospital to visit her sick mother. After some good quality time, I called a taxi to pick us up. I figured it would be about 20 minutes before they arrived, so I might as well grab a sandwich for dinner to save the cooking. What followed was a sight to behold. Seeing there is only one customer ahead of me, that meant I should have plenty of time to get my sandwich made, paid for, and be outside waiting for the cab with a good amount of time to spare. My girlfriend wasn't hungry, so she decided to wait for the cab, just in case it showed up while I was still inside. As I start thinking about my order, I notice that it's James working tonight. I give a mental sigh of relief, as I knew I'd get my sandwich right with him making it. James spots me walking in.
Hey, OP.
Hey, James.
The usual?
You got it.
Sure thing. Let me finish with this customer and I'll be right with you.
Take your time. I've got a taxi to wait for anyway. Things start to go smoothly. The one customer ahead of me, a lady who was in her early 40s, being called Karen for obvious reasons to come, is just about to pay for her order when she tells James about a survey offer she has on her phone as a screenshot to get something free. I didn't fully hear what it was, but I think it was a soda. Hearing it was on her phone, I could already tell where this was going. I know I didn't work at the Way of the Submarine before, but I had seen similar issues come up at the Golden M before and figured the concept here was similar. Turns out I was right.
Ma'am, do you have the physical copy of the receipt with the survey code?
No, I don't. That's why I have this screenshot from the survey on the site. At this point, when I heard her voice, I felt it was vaguely familiar, but I couldn't figure where at that moment.
I'm sorry, I can't accept that survey code without the physical receipt. Store policy.
That's not true. I was able to do it before without the receipt.
I'm sorry for the confusion. However, whoever accepted that survey code without receipt wasn't supposed to do that.
That is ridiculous. I did the survey and deserve my free soda.
Ma'am, perhaps you might still have the receipt in your purse or wallet. If you have it with you, I'll be glad to ring in your free soda. Without it, my hands are tied.
I've heard enough from you. Give me the number for your manager. I'm calling to make a complaint about your rudeness. Hearing this and being a full witness to this ridiculousness, I give James a subtle nod. I wasn't sure if he caught it until I saw the slight smile. James proceeded to write down my cell number and give it to her.
There you go. Now then, was there anything else you'd like, ma'am?
Yes, the free soda that you owe me.
Ma'am, not again. I cannot do that without the receipt.
Why the hell not? Me, wanting to give James a break from the crazy. Hey, James, want me to explain? James gives me a smile.
By all means.
Ma'am, he needs the physical copy for his records. It also ensures that the code is only used once. Taking a picture of the receipt doesn't change the fact that the receipt could have been used before. James nods in agreement to confirm. Are you trying to say that I'm trying to cheat the survey to get an extra soda? She was getting very angry. And then I recognized her as one of my problematic customers from the Golden M. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just giving you a hypothetical scenario. Given you know so much and how you two know each other, you must be the manager. I want him dealt with right now. Ma'am, I'm not the manager. I don't even work here. Also, he's my close friend, so of course we know each other. Then why do you know all this? I worked at the Golden M and had a similar policy. Fine, I'll be calling your manager and getting you in trouble at your work. By all means, go for it. Feel free to ask them if they miss me there. Miss you? You just said you worked there. Right, I worked there. I don't anymore. Then tell me where you work right now. I don't feel comfortable with telling you that.
Ma'am, if you keep harassing him, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave the store.
Karen takes off in a huff, paying for her sandwich and leaving the hospital. I sighed softly and turned to James, who also sighed, though his sigh was with relief while mine was annoyance.
Sorry you got roped into that.
No worries, I don't mind. And the number though, please tell me you wrote mine.
You know it.
The two of us had a good laugh at this. I told him that should the actual manager get a call, I'm more than willing to be a witness to defend him. He appreciated it and started to make my sub. Unfortunately for me, it was at that moment the taxi arrived.
I didn't get my sub, but I managed to help my friend out of a jam, and that's far more important. Oh, come on, the least they could have done was given him a cookie or something for the road. He helped you out. This story's called, He Thought I Worked There, Ended Up with a New Friend. Wholesome. I'm a girl. I'm currently in my first year of upper secondary school. I just turned 16 some months ago, and I'm kinda short compared to my friends. 5'4". I really don't like social interaction because I'm not really social. I hate being in crowded places, and I really easily get anxiety attacks. I'm really shy and quiet, and I rarely talk to anyone I haven't been knowing for a while. Anyways, I was on a one-day trip with my parents to another city during a school break. That particular city was full of tourists during the break, and the street was crowded. My parents and I went into a couple of stores that were almost completely empty, so that I could calm down a bit. We got to my favorite store. That also was the reason for us going there, because it was the closest city with that particular store. Well, it was a bookstore full of manga and other cool AF stuff. I had been saving money for it for months. My parents left me alone in the store while going to another store nearby. It didn't bother me because it wasn't that many people in the store at the time. I ended up spending 3 hours in that store. Well, I love manga. It was the first time I ever bought it for myself, so I was really excited about it. I had gathered 7 of my favorite manga books in a basket that I carried around. While looking at other things, I saw a guy, I'll call him Alex, around my age, walk into the store. We made eye contact for less than a second, and I didn't really think more of it. A while later, I was looking at the books, trying to decide what to buy when I hear a voice behind me. Alex clearing his throat. "Excuse me?" I didn't think he was talking to me, so I ignored him. Also because I didn't want to talk at that moment. I felt him grab my shoulder, my face turned red, and I turned around to look at him. Me with a nervous voice. "Yeah? Can I help you?" "Yeah, do you know if there's any more copies of this manga?" Me confused. "What? You work here, right?" "No, I don't. I'm sorry." "Oh, really? I'm sorry. I thought you did because your clothes and all those manga books in your basket." I was wearing a black hoodie and jeans, similar to what the staff was wearing, I'm not gonna lie. "Nah, I just love manga." We ended up talking for a while about what animes we both watch. We were actually very similar to each other, and for some reason, I wasn't nervous at all after talking with him. I just had a great but unusual time talking to a complete stranger without even knowing his name. I ended up spending $150 at manga books that day. I hope this isn't as terrible as I think it is. Thank you for reading. That's why I love talking to people at, bookstores or video game stores especially, because, they obviously have similar interests to you, and so you can talk about stuff that you guys like, and, it's a great bonding experience for strangers. I'm curious, okay? Let me know down in the comments. How many of you guys met very good close friends while shopping at places related to a specific hobby of yours? This story's called Wise Choice, Wrong Age. Okay, so I just got home from this event and I'm still shocked. So I was at my local grocery store with my mom because I had to use the bathroom and the plumbing in my neighborhood was shut down due to a broken pipe down the street. My mom was doing some last-minute Thanksgiving shopping, so I was waiting by the electronics and listening to music while looking at the movies and TV shows when one catches my eye. I'll tell you at the end because it's hilarious. I pick it up and glance at it when I get the famous ahem of a Karen right behind me. "Excuse me, employees aren't supposed to wear these." She says this as she yanks out my earbuds. Now, I am wearing a red shirt, which is what employees wear, but they have the logo on the front and back, while mine is blank on all sides. "Sorry, I don't work here, ma'am?" "Yeah, right. Don't make me get you, manager." She had that smug voice and her annoying child behind her, he looked around 10. "Mommy, I want that one." He was pointing at the show I was holding. "You heard him. Give it to me." She held out her hand, expecting me to hand it over. "Ma'am, this show is not for kids." "It's animated, of course it is." "You see, I want it." He started crying and rolling on the floor. "Just shut up and give it here, you dumb employee." At this point, a manager walks by because he wanted to check out all the noise. Is there a problem here?
Yes, this stupid employee is wearing headphones and made my son cry because he won't give my son the movie.
Sorry, ma'am, this boy doesn't work here, and if I may ask who got the movie first?
Her face was red with anger after hearing I wasn't an employee. I did, but I'm not planning on buying it.
If that's the case, then could you please give it to this lady?
With a sense of malicious intent, I said okay and gave it to her. The kid instantly stopped and got all happy, and the Karen had a smug look on her face.
So, are we good here?
Yes, we are. I later saw her walk out of the store with her kid still holding the show. The kid was pretty entitled, but maybe he'll have a change of heart after he watches a few episodes of his new collection of part 1 and 2 of JoJo. Okay, so I'm confused here. Is JoJo, really not okay for kids? Because I watched like the first 10 or so episodes, and, honestly, I was kind of bored out of my mind, and I like crazy stuff, so, seems right up my alley. But anyways, I'm confused. Is it not good for children? Because I don't remember anything being too inappropriate, I guess, other than the violence. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.